Welcome back everybody to episode 12 of my Luck of the Irish show. Today's episode I'll be looking at a film that is very interesting, and it's one of those films that has built-in lore. I just love when films do it and it's executed properly. The film I'm gonna be reviewing is a film called The Canal. If you don't know what this film is about, it's about a film archivist who finds his sanity crumbling after he's given an old 16mm film reel with footage from a horrific murder that occurred in the early 1900s at the place he's been living at for the previous 5 years. And I guess that aspect wasn't even disclosed to him when he and his wife bought the house. Maybe they weren't aware of it. There was a mystery aspect to the film, so it was probably one of those things where it was so horrific that the town tried to bury it. So it kind of begins with what feels like it's the middle of the story, and it feels like it's one of those where it's like, okay, this is the present, we're gonna get back to here later on type feel to it, but it doesn't. And basically by the description, I kind of figured that the main character was going to edit like all this footage together and then show it, and that's what I thought was being shown at the beginning of the film, but I guess it was a completely different film that they were showing, and it was the start of the story. It was a decent start point. So the framing of this film is very good, and the blocking as well. Everything's just placed properly within the scenes, and it's decently lit. It has a reference to a film I did a review on in the last series, and its sequel as well. It referenced the film Cat People. If you want to find out my thoughts on that film, I'm going to put a card up. You'll see it somewhere up top. The editing is great. There's a scene where there's a character singing and it's cross-cut between the murder shots and stuff, and just that juxtaposition created like an unsettling feeling. It had an unsettling atmosphere to it, which was very, very good. It was well acted and written. Like I said prior, I can't remember if it was in yesterday's review or I said it at the beginning of this. The lore that the film was unraveling as the film went on, I absolutely love that. I love it when films do that. It just fills a bunch of, like, I guess you could say, dead space within the film story and stuff, and it just feels like they packed a lot of stuff in its short 90-minute runtime, and I like movies like that. I guess you could say a perfect example of that would be where it's like you get so lost in everything that it feels like it's a much longer movie. But yeah, there's films where they make do with their 90-minute runtime, and they pack everything in, and it doesn't feel like it's overloaded with anything in it, and it just feels awesome. This was one of those films. I guess you could say the similarities between the 1902 murder that was in the film that the film archivist ended up receiving, and the murder of the present day had enough similarities that one kind of inspired the other, and you don't know whether, even by the end, you can't really tell if the house is haunted or the guy just became so obsessed with it that it clouded his mind to what was actually happening. And there's ghost effects in it, and there's creature effects in it at one point. I guess you could say creature, but I wouldn't say that it's a creature, but special effects and stuff like that. They were pretty good, and they were well executed. Just the blending of, like, I guess the CG ghost like rising up, they felt real in the sense of the film. They didn't feel like a CG thing happening like most of it does. It utilizes the flashbacks to show what really happened, which is an aspect that I really liked, and it's something that North American films don't really use. to their advantage. I found that some Hong Kong films use this heavily, like this story structure where you watch the movie as is and you see one story, and then at the end something triggers a flashback and we see all these memories of what really happened at the end in the form of flashback. And I like that story structure, I guess you could say. Not very common, so I was kind of surprised to see it here, like in this film. Well directed. The way that they had the flashbacks was, like I said, something triggered these flashbacks as memories that were flashing, I guess, before the guy's eyes, and he came to the realization of what he actually did. You could say his memories were clouded in a way, and therefore our version of the story, our initial one, was different, and it was showcased through the main character's eyes, if that makes sense. It was really good. If you get a chance to see it, be sure you do. If I remember correctly, this film has been something that I've wanted to check out for a while, but I was just going off of like the poster I saw years ago, a few years or whatever. The poster looked good and it was on the list of movies to see, and then just never got around to it, so I'm glad I did. Check it out if you can. DVDs, digital copies somewhere. I saw it on Amazon Prime. If I had to give this film a rating, I'd give it a 9 because it had that aspect, but I think they could have packed a little more stuff in, lore-wise and stuff like that. That's why it didn't really get a higher rating. They could have packed a little more, but everything was all well executed. Mystery was really well executed and portrayed in the edit. Everything flowed well. Hope you like this review. Give this a like and subscribe if you're new. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.